The Disney theme parks are known for having some of the best theming in the entire world, and one of the best instances of Disney's theming is through their different themed sections. So in this video, we're going to look at every Disney park in America and try to figure out what is the best themed area in every US Disney park. Let's start with the original Disney park, Disneyland. But this is their newest theme section. Galaxy's Edge, I think, is the best themed area at Disneyland. The reason why Galaxy's Edge is the best themed area at Disneyland is because it really does feel like you're on a different planet, in this case, Batuu. The buildings, shops, things to do, and especially the rides drive home the theme. This land cost a lot of money, and I think it was money well spent. Galaxy's Edge is one of those places that you can just walk around, and every time you do, you feel like you explore something new. The land is pretty sweet during the day, but Galaxy's Edge at night is even better. It's really quite amazing at night. I love nighttime at theme parks, and Galaxy's Edge is one of my favorite places to be at night at any theme park. Now real quick, let's go to Florida before coming back for California Adventure. Hollywood Studios' best land is also Galaxy's Edge. And since these lands are pretty much identical, there really isn't anything that I can say that would be different from the Hollywood Studios to the Disneyland version of this land, but basically both versions of Galaxy's Edge are amazing. For now, let's head back to the West Coast with Disney's California Adventure. The best land here is easily Cars Land, and it's not even all that close. Cars Land is also pretty much perfect to me. They have a great ride collection with 2 flat rides and Radiator Springs racers, and it looks exactly like the movies. It's actually wild if you watch Cars and then go to Cars Land how insanely similar they are, except instead of cars, there's people. If I had visited this place when I was younger, I would have never wanted to leave, because it's such an amazing land. Heck, I don't really like leaving now. It's just so fun to walk around the place, and it does help for Galaxy's Edge and Cars Land's placing on this list that they have my 2 favorite rides of all time, in Rise Resistance and Radiator Springs Racers. Going back to Florida, Epcot is admittedly a tricky one. When I was there wasn't a specific area of the park that really stood out above the rest. Epcot is kind of weird in comparison to some of the other Disney parks in the land and ride offerings, but as far as rides are concerned, Future World would be the best area, but as far as theming is concerned, I would have to nominate World Showcase. World Showcase is made up of many different countries and areas around the world. I think the area is pretty cool, and there's some good rides in there as well. From what I've seen, there's also plenty of unique food offerings, if you're into that kind of thing. While each area, each country you could say, isn't all that big, they all do have a unique feel. For many, this is as close as they can get to traveling the world, and I do think this section is pretty cool, and it's very unique in comparison to the other entries that we'll have on this list. Next, let's go to Animal Kingdom for Pandora: The World of Avatar. I'll be honest, this land is just beautiful. The floating mountains are an incredible reveal, and the land has so many trees, it's almost hard to take in. Plus, in addition to that, I love the 2 rides that are in this section. In Na'vi River Journey, a fun boat ride with a great animatronic, and Avatar Flight of Passage, a really good simulator. These 2 attractions complement each other perfectly. I also love the sounds in this land. The music and the insects making noise and stuff, it's all really cool. The final US Disney park is Disney's Magic Kingdom, and I've nominated Fantasyland. I think this Fantasyland is better than its Disneyland counterpart. I like the buildings and facades a little better, and it feels more fantasy instead of castle-y, if that makes any sense at all. Which it probably doesn't, because I don't make sense. This land is also home to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, And while this coaster isn't an elite ride, it is better than anything Disneyland's Fantasyland has to offer. I also like, in comparing the two Fantasylands, that Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland is not tight and cramped like Disneyland's Fantasyland is. The one in California can get very, very crowded, and not just because of the crowd levels, but because the pathways aren't wide, and the pathways in the queue lines aren't either. Magic Kingdom fixes this problem and adds more theming. All this is to say that Magic Kingdom's Fantasyland is one of the better lands in the entire Walt Disney World Resort. So now we have run through the best land at every US Disney park, but there's still a lot of lands we didn't mention, so I want to throw out some honorable mentions. Staying in Magic Kingdom, I first want to highlight Adventureland and Frontierland. These areas feel pretty similar, but I love both lands. In between the two, you have some strong rides like Pirates of the Caribbean, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and Splash Mountain. Both of these areas look great, but Frontierland, especially in the morning, almost looks surreal as the sun comes up on those rocks on the two big mountains. As for Animal Kingdom, strong lands that aren't quite the best are Asia and Africa. You really do feel like you've stepped into another world, or at least another continent in these two sections. And the authentic feel is backed up by the safari. Having real animals really makes the place feel even more authentic. As for Disney's Hollywood Studios, my honorable mention is going to Toy Story Land. I think this land is so creative. I never would have thought that making a whole Toy Story Land was possible, but here we are, and it's a great land nonetheless, with the great family coaster Slinky Dog Dash serving as the headlining attraction. At Disney's California Adventure, my honorable mention might surprise you. It's not Avengers Campus, it's actually the Pixar Pier. Not only does this section have two fun roller coasters, including the Incredicoaster, but it also has plenty of other rides to enjoy, including some family flat rides, dark rides, and great views. This, out of everything at California Adventure, feels the most California. And as for Disneyland, after Galaxy's Edge, I think most of the lands are pretty equal. Fantasyland, Frontierland, Adventureland, Tomorrowland, Toontown, and New Orleans Square all have their strengths. They all have some good rides, and I enjoy being in all of them. So here's a list of the best land at every US Disney park. As you can see, it's a pretty well-rounded group. If I could have all these lands in my backyard, I would be totally happy. That's going to do it for this video though. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.